Yes. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Beginning anything, because yoga has become an integral part of Indian culture. So many of the practices became a day to day practice. Like the one, you see that anything that you want to start, it should become successful, it should start in an auspicious moment. So we have Shanti mantras. We say Om Ganeshaya Namah. You want to start a lesson? Om Ganeshaya Namah. You want to build a house? Om Ganeshaya Namah. You want to go for a new job? Om Ganeshaya Namah. Or lot of any Shanti mantra. So this is the first thing. And the second thing, whenever we start the lesson, especially in yoga, self-discovery, Eastern wisdom, we chant, possibly many people chant, recite the mantra pertaining to the Guru. And there are many Shanti mantras which hits your head. But the goal is twofold. One goal is to create an auspicious moment so that our learning, receiving, and giving knowledge should be fruitful, should be successful. And the second is it is very important and it takes time, but I'm pointing you out, to keep aside our ego. So when we keep aside our ego, because ego limits our knowledge, and when we keep aside our ego, the learning becomes much better, deeper, clearer. So the first word is known as Mangala Charan, to walk the path rightly based on the knowledge. Mangal means auspicious, Charan means walking the path. Walking the path rightly based on the teachings of our great masters. Not this beard guy. I have to do nothing. I'm simply passing on this knowledge. So you see that when you do that, so your mind gradually undergoes a change. It breaks the shell of ego. It's a great topic and it's a very deep topic. There are a couple of texts which focuses on how to transcend the ego simply by listening. Couple of texts, and which are considered as the higher text. Once who has been doing yoga for many years and finds and realizes ego is a barrier. So then they study those texts. You name me any topic of human evolution. I'm not talking of astronomy or physics. Any topic related to human evolution, I may not be knowing, but it has been passed on to us by our great teachers. So we are studying Chapter 2, Sadhana Pad. First is Samadhi Pad. Did you realize that Samadhi is the last eighth limb of Patanjali Yoga. And he picked up the topic first in the chapter 1. I have already answered you why he has picked up. And sadhana means practice. But make sure, be very clear to yourself when you are living a life of yoga, the meaning of the sadhana. Sadhana has 2 words. Yes. Yeah, I don't know why these thoughts are coming. Perhaps you all are, no, why should I say perhaps? You all are seekers. So sadhana has 2 elements. First element, that I have to recognize what I have to do, what I have to accept. And the second part of the sadhana is I have to recognize what is preventing me, blocking me in the path of yoga self-discovery. So I have to leave it. So that is the real meaning of the sadhana. Normally we say sadhana means practice. Sadhana means vidhi nishedh in Sanskrit. So what is to be accepted? What is to be rejected? Another way, to approach near to my goal and to leave what prevents me, what blocks me to in the progress. That is the meaning of the sadhana. Another word that is used, it is known as upaya. Upaya means method, Sanskrit word, upaya. So we can also say this second chapter is about different methods, tips. Can I say also tips and tricks? Yes. So there are tips and tricks to make the crazy mind fail and to make the right mind succeed. Upaya. So first is sadhana, sadhana path. Second meaning is upaya. Upaya is method. You can say simply translated as a method. Method means device. Device means tools. Tools means tips and tricks. Tricks in a positive sense. So don't say sadhana, upaya. And there is another upaya. Oh yes, there is another meaning of the upaya. Coming near, approaching near to the goal, to the real self. So these are the third word when it comes to my head, I will say. So what we have been doing in the first sutra, he is talking about Kriya Yoga. What is Kriya Yoga? So I would request you to remove the misconceptions. You see that now how that's how I feel that I'm not teaching. Now I started with the sadhana, what is to be accepted and what is to be rejected. Now come to the Kriya Yoga. So another thought has come to my mind. What is that? Do you have any misconceptions about Kriya Yoga that you have read on the Google? Are you ready to drop it? It is not because I'm saying it. It is because Patanjali is saying it. Are you ready to drop it? Can you start in a fresh way? Kriya Yoga. Welcome, Whitney. So, Kriya Yoga has 3 elements. Last time we picked up, what is that? 3 words? Tapa Swadhyaya Ishwar Pranidhanani Kriya Yoga. Again, coming back to the same topic. So it means I first think that you remove all the misconceptions. Why we are studying Patanjali? We consider him as an authority. No, but my ego says I have studied a lot about Kriya Yoga from the Google. So please, you have to remove those misconceptions. So you see that Tapa Swadhyaya. Tapa pertains to the body, Swadhyaya pertains to the intellect, and Ishwar Pranidhanani, the third one, pertains to your mind, feeling, emotion. So you see that? Can we culture all the three? You forget that whether you are a seeker or not, you start culture, physical culture, intellectual culture, and mental culture. You just start the day, every day in the morning, and what happens? The Kriya Yoga enters into your life. Huh? And I'm summarizing the previous topic so that we can come directly to this. So, in the second sutra of the Sadhana Pada, he says, Samadhi Bhavanarth Klesh Karun. Now, see the first chapter we have studied Samadhi Yoga. Samadhi. In the second chapter, the result of Kriya Yoga, what he says, you minimize the suffering. Let me summarize first, and then we will go start with the in detail. So what he says, you start the Kriya Yoga in your life. So what will happen? You will start succeeding in meditation, ultimately reaching to highest meditation. Second, he says it brings down, it minimizes the suffering, sorrow. What is suffering and sorrow? You see the systematic approach of Patanjali. Now he explains what are the five suffering that I will deal in little bit detail to make you aware so that you start dropping the suffering from your life. If you drop the suffering from your life, you can help others also. But if it is not, then you continue to suffer inside and you try to alleviate the suffering of others. That is not the approach of yoga. So you see that now he says there are five causes of suffering that we will take up in little with clarity. So what happens now? These five causes of suffering has four stages. Do you remember the stage of the seed? The impressions are deeper inside. Huh? So you see that you see sometime what happens, you are communicating with your friend, he has or she has been a friend for many years, and you spoke some word that triggers the seed impression in you, and you say, done with you, finished, I'm not talking to you. So that seed impression has resurfaced. I don't know what happened. Even though after reacting, when I return home, I think, I should not have done this. I should have done this. I should have spoken like this. So that is all these impressions at a lowest latent stage. No, not latent, seed form. Totally, I'm unknown to it. There is a reservoir of sanskaras. Second stage is that it has started growing. It has started growing. The third stage, do you see that whatever let me use the same word. What word has been used here? Samadhi Pavanar. Avidya, Asmita, Rag, Dvesh, Abhinivesh, Panchaklesha. Panchaklesha. So, yes, Samadhi, Avidya, Asmita. So he says there are Sutra number 2.4, second chapter, fourth sutra, he says, these sanskaras, these kleshas live in our mind in four stages. So they are totally unmanifest. Avidya chitram uttaresham prasupta. Prasupta means sleeping stage. Tanu, smaller, subtler level. Third level, alternating. What the hell you are doing? And I reacted, I'm sorry. I'm extremely sorry. So alternating thoughts. You see that? Alternating thoughts. Huh? So these suffering remain at the alternating. Sometime I say sorry, sometime I say, hell with you, alternating. And the fourth one is the current state of my personality, current state, the way I am talking, behaving, keeping my uh, dominant thought process, dominant traits of the personality. I agree with you. I don't agree with you. Done. I know what you are saying. Look at it. So what he is saying that all these 5 categories of suffering lives at different stages. And then he goes on explaining each one of us. Avidya, asmita, rag, dvesh, abhinivesh, panchaklesha. So now we come to tapa. We have covered some of the points of the tapa. Let me start again directly. Tapa means enduring opposite feeling, thoughts, and experiences of the body and the mind. I have been telling you, if someone says, you seem to be crazy, I'm more crazy than you think, my instant response is, you cannot give me a certificate that I am crazy or not. I should know myself. Tapa. So, how you redirect, how you change, not only the thought process, but the emotions and the feeling is related to tapa. Tapa, that is one way to understand it. The goal of the tapa is to remove all problems permanently and discover permanent happiness, love, truth, and wisdom. You will say higher, it is very high goal. How it is possible? It is 100% possible. It is 100% possible. It has many shades, colors, and dimensions of tapa. So when you are doing hatha yoga, there is another way of doing tapa. You are following the path of jnana yoga, the knowledge. There is another way of doing the tapa. Bhakti yoga, there is another way of doing the tapa. Patanjali is explaining in a different context. The one who does not do tapa will never succeed in yoga. Never succeed in yoga. Authentically, every master says this. And in Veda, we have found this phrase in Sanskrit that the one who does not do tapa will never succeed. Almost 5,000 years ago. Without tapa. Why? Why without tapa? The power of discernment do not settle into your intellect. The dispassion is not settled into your mind. The equanimity of the mind will never be achieved. Emotional poise cannot be attained. The cause of tapa, if it is done for a wrong reason, will not be called tapa. Tapa should always be done for a goal of life. Now come down to in a very simplified manner. We are advanced yoga practitioners. So, but even we should understand 10 skills: patience, forgiveness, sense control, non stealing, purity of the body and the mind, learning principles of Eastern wisdom. I will come down to the 10. Once you start introducing this in your life for your personal reason, you have start doing the tapa. Now go slowly, practical understanding. The practice of the tapa is not instant. It does not give any instant result. We need a tremendous patience. You today you have started understanding, and then you find out what are the traits needs to be cultivated, what are the things that needs to be rejected, and then one after the other, if you start it, it helps you. Yes. Now see that who are, for the sake of understanding, I'm saying, for the lowest level of the seekers, they are taught yama and niyama. They are also considered as the means of the tapa. How Patanjali says what he says in the niyama, when you study niyama, what he says saucha santosha tapah swadhyaya ishwar pranidhanani niyama. So at the lowest level of journey of yoga, Ashtanga yoga, under niyama, he has included all the three practices of tapa. Now we have to understand why. Why he says out of 5, 3 are Kriya Yoga. Huh? I think you all have studied. So, but here in the beginning he says Tapa, Swadhyay, Ishwar, Pranidhanani, Kriya Yoga. Out of the 5, he gives a special mention to Kriya Yoga. But when you go down, so only one thing has to be understood, that when the person starts the yoga, he does not know anything. He has lot of challenges. He feels that. Then the master says, Saucham, forget about all your problems. Saucham, purity, contentment, learn the art of contentment, and tapaha. Then he gives little smaller vows and practices under tapaha swadhyay in the practice of niyama. But here the tapa has a spatial significance. Here, these three practices have a spatial significance. What are the spatial significance? According to the commentator, Patanjali meant here, when he says tapa in Kriya Yoga, he says become aware of desire, anger, greed, delusion, pride, and jealousy. 6 enemies. We call it 6 enemies: desire, anger, greed, delusion, pride, and strong identification with the body. These are known as the 6 enemies. Mad, Moha, Matsarya, Kam, Lobh, Krodh in Sanskrit. So now see the significance. So when you start teaching niyama under 8-limbed path, according to the commentator of yoga, Ved Vyasa, he says, okay, teach them smaller things. But here, when you are a serious student of yoga, find out 6 enemies living in you, desire, anger, greed, delusion, pride, jealousy. Now see, we are also studying Gita. And I think we have studied that. The 8 factors that destroys us. Do you remember? Gita has added 2 more. Desire, anger, greed, delusion. Then he added loss of memory, loss of intelligence, and destruction of your life. I die every day when I live with these 8 factors. So you see, their expression is little different, but the fundamental principles live are the same. Second, it is obvious, Tapa means I have to minimize the occurrence of these 5 kleshas. That is the goal of the Kriya Yoga. Minimizes 5 types of klesha and the suffering. That we will understand later. This is what is the goal of the Tapa. Without Tapa, these impurities cannot be removed, my friends. The mind continues to fall into consciousness and enter into the path of prayers. Now, can I use these simple words that you have learned? Prayers. What I like, what is pleasant to me. What I like, what is pleasant to me, causes likes and dislikes. Likes and dislikes causes the attachment. Attachment causes the desire. Desire fulfilled, greed. Desire unfulfilled, anger. You see that now desire fulfilled continuously, it gives a kind of delusion that the happiness lies in that object. I don't want to go back again. 27 years of loveless life on one side and $127 billion. No, you have to repeat in your mind again and again. So at least it doesn't mean that you should not earn money. It is not the question. Question is my mind moving rightly, devoid of those problems that may cause suffering? So you see that greed leads to pride. That is one. And also the greed, and if the desire is not fulfilled, what should I do? It leads to strong jealousy. Oh, neighbor has this thing and I don't have it. That is why we need to do the Tapa. The impurity of the mind causes tremendous agitation at the unconscious level. We normally do not become aware, explained by the master, that they are in the seed form. So now in the seed form, Kate asked me that what is the difference between Vasana and the Sanskara. So Vasana remains at the seed form. So one is Vasana, second is Klesha. Klesha means suffering. Third is action. Combine all the 3. What is going to happen? Think of it. That is why we need Tapa, 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 Tapa. Literal translation is austerity and a penance, but we are understanding in a deeper context. This Tapa makes a seeker recognize inner potential. Now see, look at the positive aspect. You start doing it. Mind will say, oh, what a beauty I have realized inside me. One day you awaken, you have a glimpse of that. No, I have that inner potential. And the moment you recognize, you move to the chapter 1. You move to the chapter 1. From where the second chapter has started, that yes, I'm not the highest level of a seeker. That is why I have to do the Kriya Yoga. I understand all the sanskaras and the vasanas. I understand the cause of the suffering. I have started the journey, and it may click one day, simply a click. Click means now you live at the higher level of awareness. The moment you live at the higher level of awareness and you say Eureka. Have you heard the word Eureka? The scientist who walked naked from his bathtub. How come? By such a small discovery, you have that immense pleasure? Come on, if you discover yourself, what a happiness that you will find out. That's how I'm relating. So you see that? That is what happens. But we have to understanding two important essentials of the Tapa. Commentator. That is very important. I have dealt on Mondays and Thursdays. The first trait is that I should remain cheerful all the time. It means I should maintain awareness of relaxation, calmness, being cheerful 24/7. I'm not saying. Master Commentator is saying. Commentator says during the practice of the Tapa, seeker must be cheerful. A state of cheerfulness of the mind is calm, dispassionate, and constantly discern every step on the path. John said me something and I'm upset. Let me discern why I am upset. Oh mind, why you are upset? John is outside you, totally separate from you. Individual. I'm also an individual. What made you upset? And you will find one of the 6 enemies that I just mentioned. So what happens? You are contemplating and reflecting on each and every pain, anxiety, suffering. That is what the discernment is. And once the intellect takes over the mind, you are cheerful and calm. You get a glimpse of it. What I have to do, even if the John has said me something. Can you see the goal? Where is the goal? Find out. Think of it. That you don't allow the world to dictate you. Do you see that? And if you see that, you will be cheerful. Thank you, John. You have said this thing to me. That has given me an opportunity to endure and be cheerful. It takes time. It doesn't happen in a day. The cheerfulness of the mind endures that the mind seeking pleasure in things not required on the path. At the same time, seeker should maintain higher awareness that should prevent any problem in the body coming from the environment and relations. The practice of Tapa should be done in state of cheerfulness of the mind. That includes discernment that keeps the practice continuous and it prevents you any fall from the path. And after all, how we are living days by days, weeks and weeks after weeks, months after months, years after years. Same old stuff. I like this, I don't like this. I hate you, I love you. Just analyze your life. Sleep, waking, few dreams. Again, we start the day with the waking state, or you can say, some people who are extremely lazy, their day starts with the sleep. Some people are hyperactive, their day starts with the waking state. Huh? Some are more speculative, gambling, their day starts with the dreaming. But they all alternate. They all alternate. You see, days after days, weeks after weeks, months after months, years after years, we are doing the same stuff, expecting a different result. Do you want a different result? Do tapa. I want a different result. So the moment I do tapa, I have to change the way I'm living, the way I am thinking. That is the real meaning of the tapa. Agitated mind cannot be focused on extreme pressures on the body, will result in discomfort and illness. Patanjali is clear about the concept of, I'm bringing the second. I told you that tapa has two important factors. The first is to be cheerful, and the second, let us go to and understand the psychosomatic factors. You know what is psychosomatic? To simplify. My mind has a hatred for someone. So that hatred travels from the mind to the body, it expresses itself, and then it returns to the mind. That is known as psychosomatic disorder, in a very simple way. And what is the opposite? Somatopsychic. That the body has a problem, travels to the mind, returns to the body. That is another word, opposite somatopsychic. So here we are taking psychosomatic. Why? Think of it. Maintain your awareness and attention and think that what we are arriving at, what conclusion we are arriving at. That we do tapa at the physical level should not be too much. That causes pain in the mind. And it should not be too less, that it takes my mind to the same old routine. Are you getting it? No? I should strike a balance. Somebody told you fasting is a great remedy, and you are excited. Out of excitement, you start the fasting, but mind is still thinking of the sweet desserts. It is not austerity. Tapa should be done with understanding. The mind should remain balanced at all time, and then we see how far this body can exert the pressure of the tapa, and that will help you a great deal. Tapa should be done regularly, repeatedly, with a cheerfulness. Otherwise, the mind will create aversion to practice. Tell me, you have done some practices of yoga. How many days? How many weeks? And how many times you have left it? And how many times you have returned to the same practice? You all are experts. You know that. I need not to say anything. So what is the tapa means? Continuity, regularity, cheerfulness. Otherwise, it is gone. And I have seen not one, two, but Hundreds of people in Rishikesh, in Himalayas, people are destroying their life in the name of the Tapa. I gave an example last time, I think, about the milk. Do you remember? Still, there are people there. You can go. You'll be mesmerized. You'll be, oh, what a great musician. Yes, a great musician, not a yoga practitioner. That needs to be clearly understood. So, this is what. Now, there is a Manu Smriti, there is a text. There is a text. You should understand that also. It's good if, based on the students you are teaching. So, in Manu Smriti, that is another text which talks in detail. It says if you are doing 10 things, you are doing tapa. So find out the options and see and start with it. Dhrati chama damostayam saucham indriyam nigraha dhividya satyam akrodho dashakam dharma lakshanam. So he says there are 10 characteristic, 10 traits of the tapa. Patience, forgiveness, control over mind, non-stealing, cleanliness of the body, mind and the soul, restraint on your sense organs, proper use of intellect, proper knowledge of God, soul or real self, honesty and control over your anger. These are the 10 different. Are you clear all about tapa? I left it. That is, that is what, people start preaching that, oh, you should have a patience, Even I don't have a patience, but I start teaching, no, have patience, have calm. Come on, I'm not calm inside. So I'm leaving that. That is one aspect people normally teach. So now, did we leave any aspect? Karma? Yes. Whenever we perform any action, first point, it leaves the impression in the mind. These impressions are accumulated over years. Patanjali explains it's a reservoir of karma. Karma in the form of footprints, in the form of impressions. See, for example, any example. Maybe I like apple. Apple is good or not, that's a different thing. I like apple, so I start eating apple. I get a result, a good fragrance, a good taste. That fruit, that result of eating the apple also creates the impression. You talk to me, beer guy seems to be a nice guy. It also creates an impression. He seems to be crazy. It also creates an impression. I'm talking day-to-day life, how to live that. Am I aware of that? That I should not create any impression that will cause any problem to me. What is the principle? Remain cheerful. Remain in dispassion. Remain in discernment. Don't get carried away by any negative impression. So, why I said so? Why it is important in the path of the austerity and penance? Life is action. Action is life. I have to meet hundreds of people every day on phone, virtual, going to the mall, driving the car, and I create impressions in my life. That is the one of the greatest austerity one can practice, to live in the state of detachment, dispassion. The moment you start your journey every day in the morning, so that you minimize the accumulation of these impressions in your life. That will go a long way. You do it for a day, you do it for 5 hours, and you see that the mind becomes so calm. Yes, that is also important. So, when tapa means enduring, what is enduring pain and pleasure? Without tapa, we cannot succeed. But then the master cautions enduring all types of pain is not tapa. Enduring all types of pain is not an austerity. People start torturing their body. I have already given an example. Become habitual. To gain recognition is not the right tapa. Self-immolation. The word is used, self-immolation. Have you seen? No, you might not have seen, but you can see on the YouTube. There are many people with orange colored robes claiming that they are great monks, and they burn the fire all around themselves, and they are sitting inside at the center. They claim that it is a tantra tapa, practice of tapa in the tantra. It has nothing to do with the tapa. I am tolerating my honey for 27 years. That is also not tapa. It has nothing to do with the tapa. Be very clear. The tapa body, you avoid all kinds of tortures, that we do it slowly. It must be done in a balanced manner with discernment and dispassion. One day we will understand deeply again what is discernment and dispassion, even though I have covered in Tattva Bodha, if you remember. Resolving obstacles and meeting challenges in life every day is tapa. Now I'm reversing to make you understand better. You have an obstacle, you have a challenge. Sit down, understand the problem, perceive it with reference to the real self. Put yourself into action, resolve it. It is tapa. Now, ask any question. Ask the right question, that how tapa helps succeed on this path. Can you make out something? That the mind is full of impurities, wrong notions. It enters into anxiety or hesitation in a spur of a moment. It enters into duality and a conflict. The tapa is going to solve it. The tapa has to be accepted in life to become the highest seeker. One solution. How to become a seeker? Yes. Accept the tapa in life. Culture, physical, mental, intellectual culture. Commentator removes our doubt. What is that doubt? How long these impurities will last? See that? See the clarity of these masters. How long these impurities continuing in my life? How long? So first the commentator says these impurities and distractions and the ignorance is beginningless. Why? Because the karma is also beginningless. Karma is beginningless, ignorance is beginning. So when we say we use the word beginningless, don't say that it has no end. It has started for a long time in our life. And the moment you start the tapa, you break the cycle of not only the karma, but also your ignorance. And ultimately, the tapa helps you to become a seeker. Are you getting it? It says karma is beginningless, one. Ignorance is beginningless, two. Then we have impressions accumulated. That is also beginningless. What is the cause? Cause is ignorance. I do not understand yet. Let me do tapa. Let me get out of my comfort zone. Keeping my mind focused that real self is self-existent, self-evident, self-luminous. I must get there. Simple. Commentator, again I'm going to Vedvyasa, commentator. Now pay attention. Karma, klesha, vasana. 3 points. Karma, I perform the actions every day. It has an element of klesha. Klesha means 5 klesha, suffering. And third is vasana, seed impressions. Did you understand? 3 points. Karma, action. Second, klesha, suffering. 5 causes. We have already understood. Vasana, seed impressions. Tapa breaks their intimate relationship. You break the intimate relationship of any 2 or 3. Yoga promises you start living in total peace and calmness from the day one. This is what the Kriya Yoga is. Do you see me? Yes. Is it action? Yes. What about klesha? So your mind says, oh, he speaks too much, Come to the topic. The ego is there. What I'm speaking doesn't matter. So klesha has come. You are saying you are putting in action, and they both mix up with the seed impression. So you have an idea and a form, a wrong notion about the world outside that includes me. Same thing happens. Do you see that? Have I made the things clear to you? Miss Universe, wrong notion. Now you start thinking about Miss Universe or Mr. Universe. We should also own some responsibility, I and John. So why only Miss Universe? You see that? Am I aware? So what is the main point? Am I living my life with awareness? So what that awareness entails, discernment, what that discernment entails. path of Shreyas. I stick to the path of Shreyas. I leave the path of Preyas. That is what the sadhana is. I have explained you in the beginning what needs to be rejected, what needs to be accepted. What will happen? Purification. What Kriya Yoga does? Purification. Pay attention. You speak anything, you think anything, you are acting anything. Ask yourself, where I'm doing this karma? Yes. Is there any klesha? Yes, no. Yes, no. Is there any vasana? Yes, no. Make a right decision. You are already doing tapa. That is the highest tapa that you are doing all the time. All the time. Are you getting it? Brandy, why you are in such a dark room?
It's not dark here. Does it look dark on your screen?
Dark on my screen. It is not dark there. Yes, you are right.
I think it's maybe my blinds.
You see it. You see the delusion. Brandy says it is not dark here, but you see on the screen it is dark. So when there is no clarity in the mind, that needs to be removed. But you see, John is living, you see the John is in a very bright room. I need not to say anything. Are you getting it? I'm referring to the mind. The mind, its perception, its projection, its thinking. I have to become aware. Then only I can break the connection of karma, klesha, vasana. Let me leave it enough. Enough on tapa. Only one word. Maybe once we have time, we will take up tapa in a very subtler level. There is the austerity of beauty. There is an austerity of power. There is an austerity of knowledge. Austerity of beauty, austerity of power, austerity of knowledge, and austerity of love. You see that? Take an example, austerity of love. So we understand what is love. When we understand that the real self is full of love, then we apply the austerity of knowledge by the power of discernment, and then austerity of power means austerity of action. Then we start playing our role with the austerity of love and the austerity of knowledge, living day by day. Let me give you one liner on this. Austerity of the beauty means discipline of the body, health, well-being, avoiding pain, suffering. Austerity of power, taking over the prana, the energy. That energy, how it expresses the power of speech, the power of all the powers that we use. So that is the discipline of prana. Austerity of knowledge, removing wrong perceptions in my life, and austerity of love, removing attachment and replacing it with love for myself, love for all. If you start thinking about it, think about this week, second week, third week, and And if you have a question, then we will take up these 4 austerities. That you need not to study anything. Work on these 4 austerities. Yoga will be complete. Who discussed? Sri Arvind, the great master. So under austerities of beauty means he refers the body is an epitome of beauty, beauty of the real self. Not the beauty that we do in front of a mirror. It is disciplining 5 sense organs, disciplining 5 motor organs. And a long list. Let me leave that part here. Second practice of Kriya Yoga is Swadhyaya. Swadhyaya, literal translation, self-study. But then I have been adding recently, you study Eastern wisdom or yoga, or you study meditation, you study tantra, you study kundalini to study yourself. That is self-study. Every concept explained, you put yourself into the mirror of that knowledge. Where you stand, how you stand, what needs to be done. That is one way to define self-study. Second way of self-study means you study the text which are relevant. Third meaning, self-study, you study under a teacher who personalizes your teaching for your own evolution. Self-study is also educating your intellect to remove the wrong notion, the wrong perception, so that you can treat the path successfully. I have given a lot of definitions. Pick up all. Everything applies here. Now ask yourself, when I said study yoga to study yourself, what does it mean? One meaning. And fix on that meaning. I study yoga to study myself, to find the root cause of suffering, and to know what blocks me, preventing my awakening. You are totally focused. Do you see that? You are studying yoga. You are studying Tapa. Have you realized some points in your head? Oh, here I have to need a change. Here I should need the change. Note it down. Contemplate and reflect. Ask the teacher if you cannot, and start the journey. Now do you realize that why Patanjali says self-study is Kriya Yoga? Now see, how easy to now give a right perspective. Do you see that? You now every moment of your life is self-study. How I responded to John, to Christina, to Lara, to Antoinette. How I responded differently and why I responded differently. What was going on in my mind? Look at it. So those who says I don't have time to do yoga, they are wrong. Aren't they wrong? The moment you wake up, self-study begins. And the moment the self-study begins, You are bound to be a seeker. Do you see that? That is the highest meaning. Now come to what commentator says. Three commentators. I'm giving a summary of three commentators. One is the critical commentator. Vedvyasa is the first commentator. So the Vachaspati Mishra, I told you the story about this guy who was so much absorbed in writing the commentary, so he forgot his wife for many years. And ultimately you have been my wife, you have been taking care. So he named the text Bhamati. Huh? Are you a lucky woman? No. Are you a lucky man? I'm just making a joke here. So one commentator, the Vedvyasa, the first commentator, says that mantra meditation, one, and the study of principles of Eastern wisdom, two. That is what the self-study is. First, I explained you the highest level. Where is highest level? Self-study begins when you are in a waking state. My daughter and my would-be, they are here nowadays from New Jersey. Am I mindful? Yes. Why they have come? Just to spend time in a leisure. So am I mindful to take care of all those? It doesn't take too much of time. It's all about head. Why should I take care? To evolve myself. It becomes a part of self-study. Do I have differences in the past? Yes. Can I get rid of all the differences now? Yes. I'm doing self-study. Highest. Vedvyasa says mantra meditation and study of the principles of Eastern wisdom under the teacher is what? Self-study is. Without these two steps, seeker fails in meditation, simply, according to Vedvyasa. So we will understand these two parts. This is very important and practical insight. Mantra meditation. Mantra. 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 2 syllables. Yeah, 2 syllables. Man, mind. Tra, destroy. What destroy? Destroy all the false notion, suffering from the life. Mantra. Many mantras. That we will go later. Many types of mantra. Mantra means the word or the syllable that helps us to destroy the suffering. Suffering are destroying us. We have to destroy the very suffering. That is the meaning of the mantra here. There are multiple meanings. Let us go a little deeper into the suffering. There are external and internal sufferings and sorrow. The external suffering is caused by people, honey, including honey, not every time honey, but it is caused by people, place, things, nature. That is what we feel, the suffering. What about the internal suffering? Did you become aware? Internal suffering is caused by these 5 sufferings. ignorance, ego, attachment, detachment. And the fifth was abhinivesh, strong identification with the body. How do you know that, how can you know that I have a strong identification with my body or not? Only I know it inside. You may know it by certain behavior and traits. Have you seen some people? Oh, there is a small pain in the body, very small, and their mind makes it so big. They go to the doctor 10 times and they report to me. One beautiful, women are always beautiful. So one woman reported to me, I have gone to 5 doctors. I have a problem. They could not succeed. They are the top doctors. Are you contradicting yourself? 5 doctors are saying that you have nothing. Why you stick to your own wrong perception that you have something? And that causes a lot of problems. Internal suffering. Internal. So internal suffering, you have understood external. External sorrow and the suffering caused by undereating, overeating. Now we are understanding. Keep your mind focused. 2-part, mantra meditation and studying the principles of Eastern wisdom. So now we are studying the principles of Eastern wisdom. External suffering, internal suffering. You see, I cite an example how it will help you to get rid of these problems. 90% of the problems will go away in your life. So we have dealt with external. I have defined. So what is the external? From where we get a satisfaction? Eating. Are you aware of your undereating and overeating? Do you feel you have wrong notion about your poverty and riches? Have you keeping these knots with you? They block your mind, your intellect, your perception in day-to-day life. You see, I have picked up the second one, studying the Eastern wisdom, their principles, to get rid of my wrong notions, which is causing the internal suffering to me. Are you understanding? Practical application. Here and now. Lara has 10,000 likes. I have only 2 likes. Internal suffering. You see. We use this. This is what the master is saying. I have to study these principles to just bring the smile on the face. What it takes, whether you have 2 likes or 10,000 likes. What it takes, whether you have $127 billion or you have only $1 in your account. Question is, are you happy? Does the teaching of these principles, learning these principles of Eastern wisdom brings a smile on your face? My master used to say, see, when you are married with these principles of the Eastern wisdom, and that through the teacher, you need not to make any note, you will remember everything. That is what happens, After many years, I realized that I remember every event, every teaching of my master. I did not make any effort. My master used to say, you see that he was sitting in the Himalayas at the height of 13,000 feet in Gangotri. Lara knows it. And so one day he said, you see that? I have nothing. Even this monastery belongs to your trustees. That is why I am the king. That is why I am the richest. The moment I have a bank account, I have to safeguard it. I have a feeling of insecurity, whether I have less money or whether I don't have it. You are learning principles to study yourself. But I have a lot of problem. I have a lot, so I have to secure it. I have a wonderful friend in New Jersey, and she is doing wonderfully. She is retired, and still she gets a lot of money from different legal sources. So she says, I will not pay you online. There is a possibility of scam. So she always sends me a check. Can I get rid of these wrong notions? Think of it. While thinking, there should be a balance. I should take precaution. I do everything online payment. 90%, 95% I get all payment by online. So studying the principles of Eastern wisdom helps you release not only the internal suffering, but also the external suffering. Sometimes we become fanatic. Sometimes we become obsessed. Sometimes we keep our wrong notions in our head. We don't want to break it. No. The more and more you study, apply in your life, and you will see, oh, they are gone. Self-study. The internal suffering can be removed by studying the Eastern wisdom constantly. That is why I said you study the Eastern wisdom to study yourself. Now come to the mantra again. Do you remember the meaning of the mantra? Internal suffering lives in the mind. You destroy those suffering. That is the meaning of the mantra. My master says, never leave mantra meditation even on a single day. And if it is possible, repeat it a couple of times. I created many mantra meditation method, but you already know mantra simply means a repetition of a particular word. Om Namah Shivaya. That becomes a mantra meditation. That I am not present. Om is my real self, and that manifests as a Shiva is the meaning of this mantra, Om Namah Shivaya. So when there is not me at present, what is me? Ego. Ego comes as the second cause of my suffering. So that is why Om Namah Shivaya. Are you getting it? Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Or simply Om. After understanding the meaning of the Om is the real self, designator of the real self. Or pick up the any Shanti mantra, you already know Asatoma Satgamaya. But the mind is having a lot of problems inside. And again I say Asatoma Satgamaya, lead me from the false to the truth. What the hell John is doing? So this Asatoma Satgamaya, it is opposite of Asatoma Satgamaya. Can I look into the feeling and the emotion? Asatoma Satgamaya. So what is the actual meaning? If I claim I have an anxiety, stress, duality, conflict, problem, suffering, this belongs to the falsehood. Now I am repeating Asatoma Satgamaya. Let me move from the false to the truth. Am I really moving or not? John says no. No, this means yes to me, so no worries. So I have to think in that way. Thinking means contemplation and reflection. So what I'm talking about, Swadhyaya, We are studying second part of Kriya Yoga, Swadhyaya, self-study. And Vyasa says two main elements: study Eastern wisdom, to study myself, to change my perception of life, and mantra meditation. So mantra meditation has to be done with a meaning, with understanding, with awareness. Simply repeating the mantra will not help you. And if it helps, then we normally teach our parrot at home. If you have a pet, you teach any mantra. Do they become awakened? Are they awakened? They always repeat. You teach them any mantra, they are going to repeat. They will remind you. I think they are better than us that we don't remind ourselves. They remind you every day in the morning at the same time. Come on. Huh? Christina, Om Namah Shivaya. Oh, I forgot. So two-part, parrot repetition is most distorted form of the mantra meditation. It makes the mind habitual, blocks your growth. Every mantra points to or represents or shows the path to the ultimate reality. I have to find out, I have to contemplate and reflect. What happens by these two practices? Regular practice of these two things can replace and can remove the impurities of the mind. When the impurities are removed, the distractions are gone. When the distractions are gone, you already become a highest level of a seeker. Kriya Yoga. So in the name of a Kriya Yoga, I also read, I met those people who also teach Kriya Yoga, which they claim are traditional, age old. There is no reference of the age old. Show me the text where it is written. Tell me the lineage. So they forcibly add the lineage. I'm adding. I'm not going, I don't want to name. I don't want to name. They even made non-existent master as an existence. They created a picture of that. I'm not going there. I'm not going to tell you the name. I'm not scared, but I don't want. That's not the way. Authenticity. Am I teaching authentic? Am I authentic? No. I represent the tradition. There is a logic. We go for understanding. I follow Kriya Yoga. What happened? I was sitting in meditation. The first master appeared before me and he put a quarter coin in my hand, told me to keep in the safe to become a millionaire. That is not yoga. That is not yoga. It has nothing to do with the Kriya. No. I don't want to go into that area. I remember a lot of things. Self-study aims at removing wrong notion about the reality. Self-study, contemplation and reflection settles the mind. It brings the mind to one-pointedness. You leave the distraction. Self-study gives us understanding the different instruments of knowledge, including sense organs, the mind. It is not simply repeating, Annamaya, Kosha, three bodies, but let me become aware of the three bodies. I'm looking at John. What exactly I'm looking at, John? self-study. The goal of this study is to remove wrong notions, causes ignorance. So two-part. I'm not going into the practical of mantra meditation. Maybe one day we will do. I guide people karmala. Kar means hand, fingers. Mala. You create a mala, a garland, with your fingertips. And then you do the mantra meditation. I did it for almost 7 years, long back. Maybe from the age of 28 until 35, 36. When? I give you just a perspective. When? So from my house to a workplace, that was a research center of yoga in India. Now it is under a federal government. It was there in the federal government. It used to take me 45 minutes. How it is related to mantra meditation? So I have to board a bus. I used to close my eyes, my finger points are mala, and I used to do mantra meditation. 45 minutes. Every day, 5 days a week, 5 times. At my home, I used to spend another 2 hours. I used the time. After 3 months, I don't say miracle, but it is definite, it will happen. After 3 months, my eyes used to get opened. No fear that I will not be able to step down to my workplace. Within 5 minutes before, my eyes are open, calm, relaxed. Oh, my mind used to give the hint, the intuition that now your center has come, get down. Not only one. Even sometime when the mind has a tremendous pressure from outside, my thumb moves on these fingers. It's a specific way of doing the karmala. And it releases. Do you see that I don't have any pressure in the world? Yes. The pressure are left outside. Even now, those mantras, they start repeating itself. And as if the mantra is saying, come on, move into the right notion, move into the right notion. And the problem is gone. That is the power of the mantra meditation. Good. Let us move further. Gita also talks about sattvic tapa, rajasic tapa, and tamasic tapa. I'm not going there. There are a lot of things. Third practice of Kriya Yoga. I told you. First, tapa means for the body, self-study for the intellect, and the third, Ishwar Pranidhanani, is for the mind, feeling, emotion. I used to close my eyes and I used to say, what I have body, mind, breath, intellect, ego, thoughts. Ego claims I know. Okay, I have all what I have. And then I used to imagine my master in front of me. What I have belongs to you. First part. I'm giving you the soul of this third practice. Second, what I possess, house, computer. I used to ask my mind, remember everything. House, computer, bank account, car, etc., all belongs to you, my master. All is yours. I'm not giving physically, but internally. Third point, what I am, that also belongs to you. Now the mind is empty. This is one of the greatest application of Ishwar Pranidhana. How can I leave everything? You do it every day. Do you remember when you do it? Do you recall? In deep sleep, you do it. You are not the body, you are not the mind. Do you remember what you own? What you possess? Whether pleasure or suffering, you don't own anything. Nature teaches us, can I do it consciously? Ishwar Pranidhanani. Third step. If I own anything, I have to secure, I have a fear and insecurity. If I don't own anything, I have a desire to own. I have a desire to own. Whether I get it or not, there is still a fear and insecurity. Are you getting it? What I own, I have to safeguard. So there is a fear. All the impurities are there. I don't own, I want to own, I have craving, I have an obsession. So still there is a fear and insecurities whether I will achieve it or not. Master says this wrong idea is so deep rooted, has come from the animal instinct. Mind, don't go there. Mind, go. I was watching Discovery Channel, and do you know that if the lioness has 4 cubs and a new lion approaches, the lion wants to kill the cub to mate with the lioness. No matter, we have learned from a lot of things from animals. Do you see the conflict? That is what happens. So when we do the Ishwar Pranidhanani, I remember this is such a beautiful way. My master used to tell me, sit every day. Check what I possess, what I have, body. What I have, body. Why it belongs to you? Do I have control over the body? Can I keep the body in a healthier state all the time? Can I prevent the aging process of this body? Is body independent? Is body dependent on me? So when I contemplated, reflected, and I realized it's a practical application, then we will go to academic and intellectual. So now I see that body was given at a particular time. It will continue to grow. I have only one responsibility: to repair and maintenance service. Schedule, repair, maintenance service. That is okay. But constantly, if you are aware that it does not belong to you, it belongs to the existence. In my case, it belongs to my body, my master. In your case, if it belongs to the existence, 50% of your mental, emotional suffering will go away. That is what is Ishwar Prana. What I possess, at the time of the birth, I did not. Now I am. In sleep, I don't. Oh, varying situations. Why should I get identified with these possessions at all? Why? The moment you ask why, you will find out What is the cause? 5 klesha. Ignorance, ego, attachment, detachment, strong identification with the body. To get rid of this, when we get rid of these 5 klesha by Ishwar Pranidhanani, we are free. Distractions are gone. We are the highest level of the seeker. Now, we should keep the goal in mind. Goal of Kriya Yoga, to minimize the suffering and enter into the path of higher meditation. That is what the Patanjali is saying. Now let us remove the misconception. That is very important, especially in this part of the world. When we use the word Ishwar Pranidhanani, Ishwar simply means God. Do you remember the definition of an Ishwar from Patanjali, Chapter 1? Klesha karma vipaka ashaye paramrishtaha purusha vishesha Ishwaraha. No, you don't remember. So who is God? Who transcends being the doer and the enjoyer. Klesha karma, who has transcended the 5 suffering, who has transcended the fruits of an action, that is God. If you have achieved that state, you are God. But further clarification in the Chapter 1 that we have studied, that God is pure consciousness. It is the source of knowledge. It is absolute existence, consciousness, bliss. Where the hell God is sitting, it is sitting deep inside my heart. Now, in that context, understand what is the word surrender. You know, sometime when the criminal surrenders and terrorist surrenders, we normally use the word surrender with reference to the criminal and terrorist. Are these kleshas in the suffering not criminals living in you? So, are they not terrorists? To leave them, I have to follow, I have to surrender what I am, what I have, what I possess to the existence deep inside my heart. So use the word offering. Offering. So start thinking and feeling that I offer all my actions of the past, current, and the future to the existence mentally. What it means, you do it at least for a week. When you're doing it mentally, you loosen the knot of attachment and detachment, a strong identification with the body. That is why we offer the third. If you say the third practice of Kriya Yoga is one of the greatest practice on which the path of Bhakti Yoga has been discovered. Are you understanding? I'm offering mentally. Are you in anxiety? Yes. Who claims you are in anxiety? I am. What is this I am? Ego. My master, I feel anxiety. It belongs to you. This I who claims I have an anxiety also belongs to you. What will remain? What remains now? It is a path of emotional integration. It helps the crazy mind, which is totally heavily conditioned by the habit, society, and the culture, with the wrong notion, you break that. I consider this as one of the highest of the three-fold practice of Kriya Yoga. Understand that clearly. Once you understand this and you start the practice, you cannot prevent yourself smiling. It's a very deeper concept and a principle. Whatever is happening, whatever I am doing is being done by the existence. Did you understand the meaning? Whatever I am doing is done by the existence, not by me. But you are still doing. Continue to do it. No, I don't accept that. Really? Are you listening to me? Sure. Are your ears listening to me or you are listening to me? Is your mind listening to me or you are listening to me? Come on. I have to simply become aware of it. You need not to do anything. You drop being the doer. And the moment you drop being the doer, the ego that is causing a lot of the problem, and because of the ignorance, it brings the attachment and detachment, it brings the strong identification with the body, all drops. You drop all the 5 kleshas 24/7. Think of it, what will be the state? So understanding clearly that I am the doer is a false notion. If I am the body, I am the doer. But am I the body? No. Then how can I be the doer? No, I enjoy pasta. Who enjoys pasta? My tongue enjoyed the pasta. Am I the tongue? I'm not the tongue. I'm in a lot of stress. Who says mind? Where the stress is in the mind. Am I the mind? Have a big laugh. Come on, mind. I don't believe you. I don't accept you. Ishwar pranidhanani. So means I drop the doership. The moment you are dropping the doership, you drop the subtle ego that is rising from the ignorance, causing the attachment and detachment. I always say that we should become a Hollywood best actor. Seriously, I'm adding the word seriously. You play your role well. That means you are an actor. Look at the James Bond, how many people he killed. Is his wife scared? Oh, you killed so many people, I won't allow you to enter into my house. Live your life. A king size. Perform your role. Wherever you are, you perform your role well, but don't claim the doership. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes we fail. It's a part of the work, part of the process. This is what it means by the third practice of Kriya Yoga. What happened now? I become an instrument of the existence. I feel unified, integrated with the existence from moment to moment. Why? I'm not the doer. I'm not the speaker. Take an example. The moment I am not the speaker, that inner consciousness or my mind opens that everything is coming from the teachings of that tradition. Why should I be scared? Why should I like to prove from the science that physiological changes? Come on, your physiology is not me. Tell me who am I? Keep your physiology there. No, I'm not against. I did a lot of research studies, but identity, my self-identity is with the existence. I am the highest level of a seeker. I succeed. Second meaning. Avishwar Pranidhanani. Focus on the work to be done. Leave the focus on yourself. Leave the focus on the results of your action. Why? Think of it. Tell me if you have found the meaning. Results of any action depends on more than 10 factors. Out of the 10 factors, we as a factor is 0.0000001%. And we claim the doership. It may hurt our ego. I know. I'm doing everything. Outwardly, if the John goes to give a lesson, you say, yes, I'm going to give a lesson, but internally you maintain that awareness. Find out why I say that even if I'm performing an action, even if I'm teaching you, I'm a speaker, my role is 0.000000001%. Once you realize nobody can give you any kind of anxiety and stress. You have taught wrong. Thank you. I think you are right. Why? I taught what the tradition says. How can I be wrong? Let all the teachers be wrong. So we are still free. Oh, you have taught very good. I appreciate. Thank you very much. Let the thank you go to the entire tradition. The wisdom. Second point of Ishwar Pranidhanani is to focus on what you are doing, like the Hollywood actor. Focus on the role. Right? I'm at home. My role is a honey. I'm in a session. My role is a teacher. Replace your role constantly. I'm with my daughter. Role is a father. Play your role well. Finished. You may get a role to play James Bond. Play it. Finished. We commit all our actions to evolve. Now the third point. 3 points I've mentioned. Commit yourself that I'm performing every action to evolve, to rise in consciousness. All my activities, from teaching, from eating, from walking, from sleeping, to all kinds of pleasure, is for the sake of evolution. That is the meaning of Ishwar Pranidhanani. Ishwar. 3 points. Under Tapa, there may be 300 to 400 practices comes, explained in different texts. Second, self-study. We have 108 Upanishads. Pick up the Upanishads based on your understanding, what you want to, how you want to approach yoga, and pick up any mantra. We have thousands and thousands of mantras. Or I gave, we will study that Karmala. The third is the Ishwar Pranidhanani. Ishwar Pranidhanani. I have given you the meaning. Normally it is translated as surrender, but don't take the surrender in a negative connotation. Give you a couple of the examples. Ramakrishna, the master, great master who lived in early 19th century, whose student, the disciple who was also a great master, Swami Vivekananda, I told you, he lived only up to 37 years of age and contributed more than 100 books. He was in US in 1893 and he taught for a couple of years here. The Ramakrishna mission, when you see, or Vedanta Academy. So they are doing a very good work in US. And the first center they established in Hollywood, Vedanta Academy. So Ramakrishna Paramhans. But, answer to, after all, you said me all the crazy stuff that, I'm not the doer and the enjoyer, but still I'm doing. How to deal with that? The Ramakrishna says there is a ripe ego and there is an unripe ego. It's a beautiful lesson. Leave that, keep that lesson all the time in you. What is unripe ego? The moment this mind attaches yourself to the body, to the wealth, to the possessions, to the recognition, to the possessions, to the 10,000 followers versus 2 followers, drop it. And what is ripe ego? I am the student of my master. That's how I used to say. Constantly say it, mean it, that let me play the role. Every time, the moment I wake up in the morning, let me play a role of going to the restroom to myself. Every action, give it a name. Be proud of belonging to the Eastern wisdom. Be proud that we are learning yoga and we are teaching yoga. That is a ripe ego. But for the sake of, don't stand on your head and you see this yoga, now, unripe ego. Unripe ego. Discriminate. Discriminate means discern, separate the two. Separate the two. And that is why I kept the tagline, evolve and help everyone to evolve. So when you evolve and help everyone to evolve, you change yourself and you change others. Questions? Same way, 5 or 6 sutras in the beginning of the chapter 2 needs a clarity. a detailed explanation. After that, the things will become simple and easy. Tell me questions. Alex is there. I'm teasing you, don't worry. I believe you're there. Bethany is also there. So, yeah.
Oh, that is me. Okay. So one of the things that I find interesting, because I of my years of studying yoga, the asana is just a small part. But because it just happened again recently, I had these people reach out to me. They're like, "Oh, can you do this pose? Can you do this pose?" And I don't post really pictures of myself doing yoga because I don't. For me, it doesn't fit. And so I kind of ignore it. But I think it's, but part of me wants to help guide them to be like, there's so much more to this, and you're missing it. But then I'm like, I'm not wasting my time with that piece.
Yes, this is definitely one way of doing it. And sometimes people say, which asana is very good for controlling the mind? I said, which asana you like? So they say, Shavasana. I said, can we do Shavasana to help you understand how it controls the mind? Yes. So I said, lie down, close your eyes, follow the simple 3 principles: being comfortable, being carefree, being casual. So then I prove and I start guiding. If you don't move your body effortlessly without causing any reaction in the mind, you are in Shavasana. You will perfect Shavasana. So I help them raise their awareness. But yes, sometime when other people come, I follow your approach. So it depends on person to person. Bethany, are you responding? Yes.
I am. It's just hard to unmute.
Very good. Very good. Alex, you're good? No problem. Let us meet after. No, don't worry. I'm not checking you. I'm just, saying hello.